Yeah, good afternoon. Hope you're all well. I'm doing extremely well. I hope you all are as well. So the topic today. So, as our world becomes more and more digital, the need to protect our online presence has never been more vital. Charities of various missions, such as creating positive change and supporting the most vulnerable, face a particularly tough challenge with cybersecurity due to tight budgets, resource limitations, and the lack of knowledge. Now, cybersecurity might not seem like the most exciting part of running a charity, but it's definitely one of the most critical. It's about ensuring that your work can continue without interruption or harm. It's about protecting the people and causes that you serve. So, my name is Joel Hogan, Head of Customer Success at Charity Digital. For over 7 years, I've been providing support to charities in a number of ways, from frontline support, such as live chat and email, to delivering consultations, webinars, and focus groups. So today, let's take a look at the importance of cybersecurity and if your charity is robust enough. So just start with the agenda. So firstly, we're going to take a look at cyber threats that have been emerging in the charity sector and also the different types of cyber attacks that there are. This will be leading on to getting some good cybersecurity practices in place, some quick wins, and as well as some other general suggestions as well. We'll then take a look at cybersecurity options available to charities and provide some useful links to cover lots of your cybersecurity needs. And then finally, we'll end with a Q&A as usual. So without further ado, let's take a look at cybersecurity threats. So the long-standing attitude is, why us? What information do we hold as a charity or have that could be of value to a cyber criminal? Charities of all shapes and sizes can be targets for cyber criminals, whether it is for financial gain, obtaining data, or just creating havoc as practice whilst they target other organizations. Now, here's a few examples of charity types that can often overlook cybersecurity but are certainly targeted. These examples may not be your charity type that you're from today, but this section is designed to make you think about cyber attack security scenarios that could apply to your charity. So, for example, we'll start off with religious organizations. I think one phrase, which is listed at the bottom there, to take away from today is that cyber criminals do not discriminate. Cybersecurity attacks on religious organizations in particular have been on the rise globally since 2020. So a couple of attack examples. In 2022, the Vatican was hacked with data exposed. And in 2023, a Catholic publisher had a huge data breach. Financial and other sensitive documents were extorted. With the rise of hate crimes, in particular anti-Semitic, Holocaust websites are now under constant threat of cyber attacks. Now, previous to these recent trends, a lack of attacks on religious organizations may have led them into a false sense of security when it comes to being cyber secure. So with health-based charities, now the most common trend of cyber criminals is high budget attacks, meaning that health institutions tend to be a high priority target. Now, health charities typically handle sensitive information about individuals. It could be their mental health or general medical records, treatment plans, and personal details. A data breach could lead to the exposure of this confidential information, resulting in severe consequences for the individuals affected and damaging the reputation of the charity. Now, I'm sure we've heard about attacks on the NHS in the last 12 months as well. Cyber criminals will attempt to hold these types of organizations at ransom due to the delicate nature of the data that they hold. Usually they request payment via cryptocurrency. Now, community and learning centers. Most community centers or venues that provide in-house training provide hardware to their members for learning. So members would be not their staff or volunteers, but the people who use their services. So for example, they could be part of a community service program that provides job procurement skills and general key skills to enhance a person's skill set overall. Now, these devices used by members are generally not used by staff. but by members of the community instead. And these outward facing devices may not be part of the same network as the staff devices. Have the same visibility as well. They won't have that. They won't have the same visibility for updates, or in the case today, have the same level of cybersecurity in place. There are a few potential problems that could arise. So, for example, no restriction on internet website browsing. So a member or user of the services could easily jump on a website that has nothing to do with their learning if they are not in a fully supervised environment. They could easily click on a dangerous pop-up that could be used for data collection, or click on a link that takes them to a very inappropriate website. Now, as I said, many community sort of centers set the outward facing devices on a separate network to that or the staff. Staff could be connected via the cloud, and they could be using something such as Microsoft 365, whilst the outward facing devices are entirely using on-premise software. That would be like your Office 2024, that kind of thing, as they have no need to be connected to the cloud. Now, this means visibility can be lost of when a device could be under threat, or when a malicious link has been clicked if certain software or processes are missing. Now, potential harm could be made on the device with the requirement of a reboot install or the end of the device entirely. Devices could be blocked if they are attacked by ransomware, a favorite cyber attack of cyber criminals. So to reiterate the phrase that cyber criminals do not discriminate on who they attack, a charity of any type or size could be a target for cyber criminal activities. So let's take a look at some of the cyber attacks. I mentioned ransomware a moment ago, and we'll go through that as well. So data breach. So it's an incident where individuals gain access to sensitive, confidential, or protected information. This could happen as the result of a cyber attack, or a user inadvertently sharing sensitive information with external companies or users. Perhaps, for example, in a marketing team, if you're sending a bulk sort of send of emails out, perhaps someone uses the CC option instead of the BCC option, which is, not great news, because then if you're using the CC option, that means everyone receives that email, receives the details of every other person that's received that email, which is definitely a data breach. Data breaches can occur in so many areas, and not just the charity sector. So it's not just us, but businesses, government, healthcare, and education it can easily happen with. So with phishing attacks, cyber criminals will try to trick you into giving away sensitive information, such as passwords or credit card numbers. They will try to appear as a legitimate source, such as a bank or a website that you trust. The attack is in the form of fake emails or messages that contain links to fraudulent websites or malicious attachments. Once a victim provides the information or opens the attachment, the attacker can steal their data or infect their device with malware. Now, malware is short for malicious software, which is designed to harm, exploit a computer system, network, or device. So with ransomware, it's a type of malware, and is the most popular form of attack used by cyber criminals historically. So it encrypts a victim's files or locks them out of their system, making data inaccessible. And this leads to the attacker demanding a ransom payment. As I said earlier, they usually require payment, or most commonly via cryptocurrency. And in most circumstances, complying with the cyber criminal usually means they take your funds and don't unlock. So with third-party risks, recent research from TES found that 7 in 10 charities outsource some or all of their IT. And most charities will have volunteers or employees that use their own devices to access a network as well, such as mobile phones. So with so many different people having access to a network, it is vital that charities rely on cyber protocols to limit threats. So that's firewalls, virtual private networks, or VPNs for short. And multi-factor authentication are great examples of tools that can minimize third-party risk. Social engineering, this is a real common one, and I wouldn't be surprised if most of you have come across this in a form already. Cyber criminals could pose as staff, asking you to do tasks for them. Common one is going out and purchasing gift cards strangely. So that kind of thing can happen. So the challenges with compliance, a challenge that we all have been facing in years now is GDPR compliancy, with this being particularly more challenging for charities that handle sensitive information, such as those in healthcare, for example, would have data as we discussed earlier. And with a non-cybersecurity mindset, cybersecurity is often a topic which is a pass the buck scenario, in that it should be all sorted or looked after by one person. Now, although it is wise to hold an accountable person for training and looking after that, cybersecurity should be thought about by everyone. So some of the threats today that affect everyone, regardless of whether they're a charity or not. So AI related threats. I mentioned that ransomware historically has been the most common form of cyber attack, but AI related threats are now rivaling it in a number of different ways. A real common threat that is occurring right before our eyes when using social platforms. Cybercriminals can now use AI to lead users in believing that celebrities are recommending a product. This can be done by AI adjusting the mouths and even mirroring the tone and accent of the celebrity. The most vulnerable, or even children, for example, can fall for these AI-related attacks if they don't understand that the video has been changed and altered to suit the needs of a cyber criminal or fake companies. Now, with supply chain risks, again, this is treading over the point I made about third-party risks earlier. With so many users being external IT volunteers accessing networks through a variety of devices, this can pose risks. So if you are working with external organizations to provide your IT or cybersecurity, do your due diligence and research the organization you work with for their credentials. With cybersecurity training, training associated with cybersecurity does need to be a bit more modernized, not only to address challenges of today, like AI-related threats, but the training needs to accommodate various learning styles. We all take in information very differently, so simply reading about cybersecurity or watching a video won't always help with digesting what we are trying to learn. Outside of work, with so many new types of cyber attacks emerging, it's difficult to even teach the most vulnerable, including our children. So with regards to cyber training, we must do our best to accommodate visual, auditory, kinesthetic, which is hands-on in English, reading, writing, and social interpersonal learning styles as best as we can. So let's look at some quick wins. What can we do? What can we do today, or as many things as we can do today? So keeping our software up to date. So always keep your software up to date. So cybersecurity breaches often happen when there are vulnerabilities in your software which have not been updated. So when you receive a message to update, whether any of you are using your devices today, a Windows update, for example, treat it as a critical matter rather than an annoyance. Update as soon as possible. Update your passwords. Now, it is an obvious one. We've all heard it before, but it's important to update our passwords. A good password should be long, between 12 to 16 characters is ideal, with a mix of characters, so upper and lower case, numbers, and special characters as well, like your @ signs and things like that. You should avoid common words and avoid reusing passwords as well. Now, 2 or multi-factor authentications adds another layer of security. Again, yes, I understand to some it come across as annoying with codes being sent or authenticator apps being used, but it is part of your responsibility that when using tech or software associated with your charity to be a layer of protection. Now, you should remove sensitive information. So this can be associated with GDPR compliancy, but ensure you do remove information that is no longer needed. A simple first step on that is to check your recent downloads tab and ask yourself, how much of that are you really using right now? My process to share is that any document that I've downloaded that I need to retain will immediately be moved into a folder away from the downloads file. I treat the downloads file as temporary and remove data very regularly as well. And if you're still documents that are saying in the downloads tab tend to be not immediately important of holding on to. Now, less users with administrative access. So to put it simply, the more users with administrative access, the more targets or doors a cybercriminal has to potentially access your sensitive information. Only keep admin rights and privileges to a few users if possible. Back up your data. So Protecting data is essential to maintaining operations for an organization. So backing up data is a reliable way to mitigate risks and ensure resilience in the face of disruption. We should be backing up our data anyway, not just for cybersecurity reasons. Earlier this year, we did a webinar on the importance of backing up your data. So please check it out if it's not an area that you're familiar with. I'm sure a link will come in the chat of that shortly and we can share that around. You'll want to encrypt your data or use passwords when document sharing. So for any of you based particularly, it can apply to lots and lots of charities, but for example, any based in the health sector are probably used to data encryption. And encryption converts data into a coded format that is unreadable to unauthorized users. If you're sharing documents such as spreadsheets, you should put a password requirement as well, just to add another layer of protection. And ensure firewalls are switched on is the final point here. So firewalls monitor the traffic that goes through your network. Ensure this is switched on. Many people may switch this off due to firewalls blocking content that they wish to access. Scenarios like this should have the firewall rules and policies updated, not turning the firewall off completely. And some cybersecurity to consider. So professional domain. So this is a point that does get glossed over quite a lot, and we're just trying to educate a little bit people on this a little bit more often where we can. Yeah, it gets glossed over maybe compared to the importance of cybersecurity software and processes, or maybe other things on that long list of things you have to do when establishing your charity. Having your own professional domain creates trust. It's so easy for criminals or even people like me or you to go and create a generic email account and pose as someone else. With the Charity Commission providing the names publicly of charity trustees, criminals can take those names and create a simple generic account such as Gmail, Hotmail, and pose as a trustee. And for those uneducated, maybe easily fall for tricks like that. Now, receiving requests or instructions from people in your organization using generic emails is always risky and should be treated with caution. If you're all using a professional email domain, you will trust it more. Now, not only does trust need to be maintained inside your charity, but also outside too. Your audience or members will have more trust in receiving communications from a professional email domain than a generic email that anyone can create in less than 5 minutes. So software you want to consider as well. So there's lots of options available, endpoint protection, email protection, particularly useful. We'll go through some more offers of that in a few moments. I want to consider training. So there's free information available from the National Cybersecurity Centre. Us at Charity Digital provide lots of different articles on cybersecurity as well, and I'll be providing some useful links a little bit later as well. In regards to hardware, if your charity has their own premises or rents a property or room, you may want to look at network security hardware as well, which there is an option available for charities at a discount rate called Cisco, which can go through a little bit later. There we go. That'll wake you up if you've been staring at the screen, big white one. So here are some solutions. We'll take it some of the cybersecurity solutions available to charities at a discount via Charity Digital. So to start with Avast, you may see Charity Digital push this option a lot. And the main reason is for accessibility, inclusion, and the speed of identifying threats. Eligibility criteria can often be a stumbling block for charities when accessing offers, as charitable status alone does not guarantee you will be supported. So just being a charity won't always mean that you'll get access to a discount or free software, as donors will also have rules outside of charitable status. There might be certain types of charities they like to support. There might be an income restriction as well. So if a charity is perhaps one of the super major charities, earn millions every year, they might be restricted to accessing free offers as well. So Avast are more than happy to provide a massive discount on their cybersecurity solutions to charities and non-profits via Charity Digital. There aren't any restrictions on the amount of products that you can request either. So there's no, the requirement eligibility wise is being a charity or a registered UK non-profit. There's nothing that looks into your activities or your income. Now, the Avast Cloud Care portal, which is used to manage your cybersecurity software, is fantastic. You can easily assign or reassign licenses to devices as and when you wish, which can be a little bit more difficult with other solutions that require installation. You can run regular reports on there as well, just to see what threats and look at trends. You even have the option of purchasing the content filtering add-on, which could stop your users from visiting websites with inappropriate content, particularly great for organizations we spoke about earlier, perhaps like community or learning centers. That could be a good addition. The patch management additional option is also perfect to ensure all devices are secure and cared for from a remote location, allowing you to systematically manage, acquire, test, and install software updates or patches to address any vulnerabilities. Bug fixing and functionality improvement as well is what patch management is used for. Now, the goal is to ensure that all systems remain secure and up to date and not have devices on different stages of being up to date and current. So that's what patch management is really good and useful for. You can also install Avast onto your servers as well if you're using physical servers or anything like that. It's recommended you don't activate all of the features of an Avast license when installing a server or installing on a server, as it could interfere with some of the typical operations and tasks a server does. And Avast has many different shields and features to protect your hardware when comparing its threat identifying speed compared to its competitors. Avast comes out on top. And the charitable discount is quite considerable as well. Prices start from £7 plus your VAT to cover one device for the year. This exact same license in the commercial world is over £30 plus your VAT as well. So it's quite considerable. The next one is Bitdefender. So it's another great option for cybersecurity with some good pricing available as well. The level of support from Bitdefender isn't quite the same quality as Avast, and there are restrictions on the amount of licenses you can purchase at a charitable discount, and also budget restrictions as well. So, but it's still a fair option, and has certainly been a trusted. Bitdefender has certainly been a trusted provider of cybersecurity in the sector for many years. And Bitdefender has many options such as antivirus, internet security, or even mobile security for Android smartphones, which is a nice touch. So yeah, just be aware, like I said, that Bitdefender has some eligibility criteria regarding the quantity of licenses you require, and they won't provide their discount to charities with larger incomes as well. So Norton, so another big name in the world of cybersecurity. Norton has some great low-cost bundles available that can protect computers, tablets, and smartphones. With the extra features such as firewall, VPN, and password manager, you can cover a lot of bases with Norton, a lot of tick boxes there. Now, as a side note, Norton is part of a massive group of cybersecurity products that also includes Avast. Just as an information there for you. Again, there is an eligibility restriction regarding the quantity of licenses you can purchase. You can only purchase one Norton product at the charitable rate per year. I would say Norton is potentially a really good option for smaller charities that only need to cover a few devices there. So moving over to Microsoft now. So I'm going to go through 3 useful cybersecurity tools and then kind of round them up of how accessible they are. So Microsoft Defender, so this is a security tool that helps protect you from threats like viruses, malware, and hackers, what you'd expect. There are multiple plans available with various levels of protection, with the entry level primarily being an email-based protection tool, and the most expensive plan becomes something called an endpoint protection. So it covers emails, but it also it protects the hardware, similar to like something Avast, Bitdefender, and Norton would do. Microsoft Azure Active Directory is an essential component for organizations looking to securely manage identities and access across cloud and on-premise environments. It ensures that only authorized people can access specific apps and data with your organization, particularly useful for those who work with lots of volunteers. And within Tune, which is very similar to Azure Active Directory, it's a tool that helps you manage and protect devices and apps that your employees and volunteers use. It helps you set policies and rules for how devices such as phones, tablets, and laptops are used, and helps you control which apps can be installed and used on these devices. Now, getting all those 3 I've mentioned separately would bump up your costs unnecessarily. There are a lot of Microsoft 365 subscriptions that will have all of these included. The really popular one in the charity sector is called Microsoft 365 Business Premium. So it has an extremely generous discount for charities that will get access to all the features I just mentioned, as well as your typical features you'd expect from a Microsoft license. So access to all the Office apps, and also some of the new players. Well, they're not new anymore, but the things we're getting used to now, like your Teams, OneDrive, SharePoint as well as some other really, really great apps as well. So yeah, all those are included in Microsoft 365 Business Premium, and there's some others as well, but that's a good starting point. Please note that the version of Defender that is included in Business Premium is primarily email protection. So you may wish to consider having Microsoft 365 Business Premium to cover most of your day-to-day actions. And we have seen a trend in charities purchasing Business Premium to cover the day-to-days as well as email protection, but then have an endpoint security on the side, perhaps like Avast or Bitdefender, to protect the device as well. Now, Acronis is another cloud-based cybersecurity solution with various levels of security requirements available, from anti-malware and remote device wiping to automated patch management. The options for cloud backup are particularly worth looking at if you're using Microsoft 365 or Google Workspace. Now, to put it simply, like I touched on it briefly earlier, cloud backup is used to create backups of data, which is essential for not just cybersecurity reasons, but the general health of your charity. So we should be backing up our data regularly in various stages, depending on how often data is updated. So yeah, check out Acronis particularly for lots of options, but the backing up data needs is a real specialty. Just a few more solutions on this page that are available. So Mailshell, I touched on the email protection features of Microsoft. If you're not using Microsoft, a super low cost option for anti-spam is Mailshell. It's about £3 for the year plus your VAT. It could be an option for those who might be using Gmail or some other type of email that isn't Microsoft. I would stress again, it's not a full cybersecurity solution. It's just a small part of it that is affordable to meeting your cybersecurity requirements. So if you do purchase it, don't treat it as that's all your cybersecurity boxes ticked. Dashlane, so many organizations may have one device shared by multiple people. So perhaps if you're office-based, there's a device which is used by different volunteers on different days of the week, for example. In instances like this, password storing does tend to happen. So with passwords, you want to save them securely rather than on like a Word document that can be easily accessed or even pieces of paper or anything like that. There's a discount code available that will provide a 50% discount on the Dashlane business subscription for 2 or more users. It's a world-renowned, reliable password manager and password generator. It's £29 for the discount code there, but definitely check that out in your own time. And I briefly mentioned this earlier, and finally, Cisco products are used to set up internet connections in a physical office. They are mostly hardware, meaning that they are physical items such as routers, firewalls, and switches, but there's also some software to complement it, to look after all that kind of hardware via apps and things as well. So if your group has its own office rather than working remotely, investing in safe network hardware could be essential, with Cisco being one of the world-renowned leaders for this. If you don't have your own in-person IT person to implement this, you should consider arranging a consultation with Cisco as well, just to see how they can help out with the implementation. So just wanted to share some useful links as well, which they're just really something to take away from today as well, outside of Charity Digital. So the National Cybersecurity Centre is an invaluable source for knowledge on cybersecurity, and particularly for charities as well. I'd strongly recommend them as your first stop for any queries that are cybersecurity related. They also have lots of great free tools for you to use, such as WebCheck for vulnerabilities on your website, MailCheck to help understand the security of your email configuration, and the early warning tool, which can help you investigate cyber attacks on your network by notifying you of malicious activity that has been detected. You should really take advantage of their free e-learning tools as well. For example, the cybersecurity training for small organizations and charities, really, really useful. And also National Cybersecurity Centre. They also provide information on and steps on how to respond to a cyber attack too. It's something that we've covered in previous content as well, so you can search that up on our website as well. We've also done a lot of work with them in the past in the form of articles and webinars, like I mentioned. So do check in with us at Charity Digital for cybersecurity updates, and check out our previous content with them as well. Now, with IASME, if you are looking to obtain your Cyber Essentials accreditation, IASME is a really good choice as they will provide rates for charities, which is nice. The IASME governance standard was created during a government-funded project to create a cybersecurity standard that's easily affordable to smaller organizations and as a more achievable standard to the international ISO 27001. IASME assesses and certifies organizations against two standards at both the self-assessment and audited levels, with specific certifications in Cyber Essentials for the health and social sector and certifications in GDPR. Charities can use the Cyber Essentials readiness tool to see if they have the 5 core controls necessary to prevent a cyber attack and become cyber certified. You can also download a copy of the standard from their website, which is aimed at helping organizations understand their risk profile in detail and see the typical test that you'll need to pass to be certified. The Charity Finance Group has a hub dedicated to charity fraud, so it has lots of articles from the sector as well, so check that out. And the same with Preventing Charity Fraud is another great website and lots of information for charity of all sizes. So Get Safe Online is a really great and informative website. It provides recent tech news, but also allows you to check if websites are safe, and it has a useful self-help tool center for when you are using the internet. Much of the government's Get Safe Online website is aimed at the general public, but its business section includes a large number of comprehensive explanatory overviews on many aspects of data security and a jargon buster section for breaking down many of the terms as well. Now, have I been pwned? So this is a fantastic tool to check if your email address has been involved in a data breach. I'm sure we've all heard in the news on many occasions of how there has been data breaches from large organizations. So you can use this website to check if any of your email addresses that you use were included in a data breach. And if you do find your email was involved, it would be a good time to update your password for sure. So cybersecurity is vital for charities because it can protect sensitive donor information, prevent financial fraud, and ensures the continuity of critical services. Charities handle personal and financial data, making them attractive targets for cyber criminals. A security breach could lead to the loss of donor trust, reputational damage, and financial losses that could hinder their mission. By implementing strong cybersecurity measures, charities can safeguard their operations, maintain public confidence, and continue supporting the communities that they serve. Investing in cybersecurity is not just a protective measure, it is essential for sustaining the charity's impact and integrity in an increasingly digital world. Okay, so just come to question time. I'm just going to check the chat now. Good afternoon, everyone. So I missed all your hellos and that earlier. Yeah, we'll be sharing the slides as well. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Thank you, James, for responding to that. Let's see, Trader. We struggled to get cybersecurity insurance claims. Any recommended predictions? Yeah, like I said, James will look into this as well. Again, you might want to. The National Cybersecurity Centre doesn't work with anyone directly, but they might be able to point you in a few directions as well. Perhaps you might want to check out IASME as well in terms of insurance providers for that. Yeah. Just allow any more questions come through. Oh, here we go, student. So from a student, are there any cybersecurity concerns charities feel that they cannot mitigate, and why? Yeah, I guess mostly it would come back down to when a charity is starting off, whether they have but you could pull it back to skill sets. Is anybody at the charity perhaps cyber minded, or do they have an interest in becoming sort of cyber minded, cyber security minded? You might be. What I do find in the charity sector is that we tend to be, sometimes we're hired or bought in for a particular job role, but then we end up becoming jack of all, maybe not jack of all trades, but we end up doing other things as well. So you could be hired, for example, sort of like customer service person answering emails, but you could then be pulled into something like maybe doing invoicing if you're working with other organizations, or other things, or you could be nominated as a cybersecurity person. So perhaps it comes down um, to what they can't mitigate is the training. There are lots of in terms of how to handle a cyber attack, there's lots of information out there, particularly in the National Cybersecurity Centre as well. That might be another worrying topic for charities as well. So there's lots of information of that. Like I said, the National Cybersecurity Centre should be the first stop shop for most cyber related inquiries, and also how to handle a cybersecurity threat as well. Do you have or can provide a cybersecurity policy? I'd need to double check that with our content team, if we have one, but I'm not sure if we have posted our own one at all. I'm not sure if that's something that we would do, but I'll double check that, and we could, if there's a link to it or anything like that in the form of an article or anything like that, that can be shared with the slides as well. They're tracing. That's no problem. You're welcome there. Problem. Just allow your words. Would Charity Digital recommend safe third-party IT support companies? Yeah, I mean there's some good there are a good few IT support companies out there as well. Some that particularly work with charities. For example, Click IT, that's Click with a Q, QLIC, IT support for charities. Yeah, their specialty is providing IT support for charities. There's a few others out there as well, which we can share with the slides as well. But that's the one that immediately comes to my mind as well. But there are, that could be a starting point, but there are a few that are out there, especially work with charities that have the credentials behind them. It is important as well. Like I say, it's a good question, because unfortunately I've heard of other IT companies really not looking after the charities they serve. One in particular example I heard of in the past couple of years was a charity. There was some sort of thing, something to do with our payments or something like that, but the IT support company immediately blocked them off from receiving emails and things like that, without having a discussion. And one thing to be wary of with some IT companies as well is that they will push a lot of different software and updates that they think that your organization needs to meet their security standards as well. So just be prepared that there's, obviously you've got your support costs, but there might be other licensing costs that might force you to upgrade to something as well. So there's different advantages of having an external IT support compared to in-house, where I think if you have a good in-house IT person, you can have that person can manage your cybersecurity and general software by making some interesting cuts in the right areas. But whilst with a lot of IT support companies, they might push sometimes like enterprise level software when they don't need it. Now, some charities will need it for sure, particularly the type of data you hold, but I've heard of some IT companies maybe pushing this really maybe over the top sort of enterprise level security and software on micro charities, on people that only have like 4 or 5 people working for them as well. And thanks for sharing, James, as well, for Click. There's a few others as well. I have a question. Is there a way to prevent users from using Microsoft Outlook webmail on their personal mobile devices, as this can download it? Yes, yeah, that's correct. So to do that, one of the things is you would need to set up Intune as well, with what we discussed as your Active Directory. So that if everyone's using is licensed that way, that will then whoever sets that up can then block or decide who can download the devices on what. It can block, like, in terms of what software you can download on your device, whether it is a PC or whether it's a mobile as well. The only thing they would be able to download Microsoft wise is if they're using their own account. But if they're trying to access a company account, via a mobile, if Intune is set up correctly, that can block them as well. So yeah, but in tune, including business premium as well, available to charities. You're very welcome, a student. I hope you find that useful. Just take a quick sweep. How many more questions have come through? Big bottle here. It's ensuring I'm getting at least 2 litres of water a day. So if I know I've drunk all of that, then I've done pretty well with the water intake. I know it's a... Okay, let's see if any more come through. Any more questions coming through? I'll let you give a few moments for people to type it in. Whilst you're waiting that, again, it'd be really useful if you could